Hello, Marvel fans, and welcome back to Nerd Doc. The Marvels has arrived in theaters, and that means it's time to discuss the important plot points and explain the ending and mid-credit scene. There will be spoilers for the Marvels in this video. This is your spoiler warning. If you do not wish to be spoiled, you can check out our 1-minute review of the movie linked in the description below. There are chapter timestamps, so you can jump around the video as you wish. If you have any questions or just want to give us your opinion on the film, leave a comment below. As always, the movie is still in theaters, so we can only use footage from the trailers. Please bear with us there. The Marvels doesn't really try to do too much. It feels almost like an Adventure of the Week type movie that just sees the heroes dealing with an issue and doesn't waste time on unnecessary things. That also means the plot is very straightforward. Dar-Benn, the main antagonist, is trying to save her planet Hala, the Kree homeworld. This is the same planet Captain Marvel was on in the first Captain Marvel movie, where she destroyed the Supreme Intelligence. Unfortunately, destroying the Supreme Intelligence started a Kree civil war and eventually caused the planet to start dying as well. Their sun was dying, the planet lost most of its atmosphere and natural resources, and the people of Hala were on the verge of dying themselves. To remedy this, Dar-Benn finds one of the quantum bands. This is the other matching bangle to the single quantum band Ms. Marvel acquires in her Disney Plus show. While they weren't given a name in the show, they are officially referred to as the quantum bands in the Marvels. In the comics, the quantum bands are never actually worn by any of the people who use the Captain Marvel moniker except Phyla-Vell, who was recently introduced in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. However, the original Captain Mar-Vell, who is not a character in the MCU, did wear the Nega bands, which were very similar to the quantum bands in the comics. They're basically powerful ancient artifacts that have a wide variety of abilities depending on who was writing that specific comic. The quantum bands draw energy from the quantum zone and give the wielder a lot of power. In the comics, the Kree know them as weapons called the Power Bands of Ren, but in the movie, the Kree just refer to them as the quantum bands. A single quantum band gives Ms. Marvel her powers and allows Dar-Benn to manipulate the wormhole jump points that the MCU has been using for space travel. This manipulation causes a glitch throughout the jump point network, which Nick Fury notices on the Sabre space station that orbits Earth. When Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel simultaneously interact with different jump points, all while Kamala Khan touches her own quantum band as it begins to glow, it causes all three of their light-based powers to entangle. For most of the film, if two of them use their powers at the same time, they will swap places no matter where they are. Now, Captain Marvel's powers are more energy-based than strictly light-based, but light is a form of energy, so it still checks out in the end. Dar-Benn and most of the Kree see Captain Marvel as the Annihilator because her actions resulted in the near destruction of the Kree. Dar-Benn is now going from planet to planet using the altered jump points to drain a specific resource from each planet and deliver it to Hala. This includes the atmosphere from Tarnax, the water from Aladna, and the sun from our own solar system. Dar-Benn starts with Tarnax, where the Skrulls are taking refuge. This is not the same Skrull community on Earth that we saw in Secret Invasion. This is another Skrull community that's been mentioned a few times in the past. Among them is Emperor Droge. In the comics, the Skrull Emperor was originally known as Doric VII, and his grandson Doric VIII, also known as Teddy Altman or Hulkling, is a member of the Young Avengers and married to Billy Kaplan, also known as Wiccan, one of Scarlet Witch's children. Captain Marvel and her team save most of the Skrulls, including the Emperor, then she calls on a quote-unquote friend, who turns out to be Valkyrie. Valkyrie uses the Bifrost to teleport the Skrulls to what we assume is New Asgard on Earth, but it never actually shows this. That means the Skrull Emperor, and very likely his grandson, are now on Earth, setting up another member of the Young Avengers, but more on them in a bit. There's also clearly a relationship between Carol Danvers and Valkyrie. They don't go as far as to confirm a romantic relationship, but they hug, and there's a kiss on the cheek that isn't just a greeting. It's basically implied that there's a romantic relationship, but the movie stops just short of directly confirming this. Aladna is the singing planet you may have heard of from the trailers. Carol Danvers is married to the prince of this planet, which is 99% covered in water. Captain Marvel and her team fight and lose to Dar-Benn once again as she takes the water from the planet and drops it on Hala. Dar-Benn then targets the Earth's sun, with the final battle taking place in the vicinity of Earth. Just before this battle, the manipulation of the jump points causes the Sabre space station to malfunction, forcing Fury to evacuate everyone. Since they have limited working escape pods, they use Goose's Flerken kittens to quote-unquote eat everyone, so they can all fit in the remaining escape pods and make it down to Earth safely. The Marvels ends with a three-way battle against Dar-Benn. She ends up getting Kamala's Quantum Band, giving Dar-Benn both bangles and the power she needs to drain the Earth's sun, which would restart the sun of Hala. However, Monica points out that Carol's powers should be enough to kickstart Hala's sun on their own, but Dar-Benn has hated Carol for some time, ignores Monica's point, and tries to use both quantum bands to drain the Earth's sun anyway. The resulting explosion of power causes Dar-Benn to die instantly and knocks Carol out for a very short time. It also rips a hole in space-time, essentially starting an incursion. The same kind of incursion that's been referenced in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and that will play a key role in Avengers Secret Wars and possibly Deadpool 3 and other films leading up to the end of the Multiverse saga. To stop the incursion, Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel use their powers to super power up Monica Rambeau, who can manipulate light. This effect causes her to look very similar to how she appears in the comics as Photon. As a side note, Kamala is trying to give Monica her superhero name throughout the movie and mentions both Photon and Spectrum, two names that she's known by in the comics, as well as Pulsar and eventually Captain Marvel. Anyway, Monica needs to fly to the other side of the incursion in order to close it for reasons. Monica succeeds, but ends up trapped in the alternate universe. Carol, Kamala, and Nick Fury all assume that she's gone for good, and Carol flies over to Hala to kickstart their sun again. Now, kickstarting a dying star with raw energy would probably do more harm to the nearby planet than good, and there's a lot of science that doesn't add up here, but it's a Marvel movie, so we'll let it slide. The end of the Marvel sees Kate Bishop from the Hawkeye series opening the door to her place of residence. Inside, Kamala Khan sits in the shadows waiting for her. She does her best Nick Fury impression, telling Kate that she's putting together a team of superpowered kids, to which Kate mentions that she's 23. Miss Marvel continues, mentioning that Ant-Man has a daughter, referencing Cassie Lang, better known as Stature or Stinger in the comics. This whole scene is a fun copy of the Iron Man post-credit scene in which Nick Fury mentions the Avengers Initiative to Tony Stark. This is the start of the Young Avengers. In the comics, the team was led by Kate Bishop and consisted of Stature, Patriot, who we've seen in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Iron Lad, a younger version of Kang the Conqueror, America Chavez, who was in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Hulkling, who we mentioned earlier as the grandson of the Skrull Emperor, Scarlet Witch's children, Wiccan and Speed, who we've sort of seen in WandaVision, Kid Loki, who was in the first season of the Loki series, and others who probably won't be introduced to the MCU anytime soon. Now, there's no guarantee that the MCU version of the Young Avengers lineup will include all of these characters, and it's obviously adding Miss Marvel to the team, who is never on the team in the comics, and she's even possibly going to lead the team, although she may be co-leader with Kate. But Cassie Lang, America Chavez, Hulkling, Wiccan, and Speed all seem like a given to be on the team. Patriot is definitely possible, but Iron Lad and Kid Loki may not make the cut. We'll have to see how the rest of the multiverse saga plays out, but expect a full Young Avengers team-up to eventually happen. The mid-credit scene for the Marvels picks up with Monica Rambeau after she crossed over into the other universe and closed the incursion point. Monica wakes up in what looks like a hospital, with Maria Rambeau sleeping at her bedside. Monica is obviously extremely excited to see her mother alive again, while Maria is clearly confused as to why this stranger is calling her mom. Shortly after, Beast from the X-Men walks in, voiced by Kelsey Grammer. Beast starts talking to Maria about Monica and mentions Charles Xavier during the conversation, as the scene ends with a full shot of Maria's outfit, which is different from anything Carol Danvers' Captain Marvel has worn, and the Captain Marvel outfit Maria wore in Multiverse of Madness. So what does all this mean? Monica is in an alternate reality similar to the 838 universe from Multiverse of Madness, but this is definitely not the 838 universe. This is a completely different alternate universe. In this universe, Professor Xavier is still alive, and Maria Rambeau was the one involved in the accident that gave Carol Danvers her powers, resulting in Maria never having kids, therefore being confused at why Monica was calling her mother. This variant of Maria Rambeau is not actually Captain Marvel. She is instead Binary. Binary was a name Carol Danvers used in the comics when she unlocked her raw potential, It's essentially her most powerful form, which just happened to occur during an X-Men adventure in the comics, so it's fitting that Beast is around when we're introduced to Binary in the MCU. As a side note, Binary is also a separate character who was a clone-like manifestation Captain Marvel used a few times in the comics to escape certain situations. This is also the absolute best Beast has ever looked in live action by a large margin. If this is what we can expect from the MCU X-Men, we are definitely in for a treat. Beast was big, similar to how he looks in the comics and 90s animated series, and obviously heavily CG, if not fully CG. As already mentioned, he was voiced by Kelsey Grammer, who was Beast in the original Fox X-Men team before Nicholas Hoult took over in the First Class movies. Now, they may not be in a normal hospital given how Beast is talking. It's possible they're in the hospital wing of the X-Men mansion. Either way, this incursion will likely happen again, possibly as soon as Deadpool 3, which is currently due out next year, but could be delayed due to the actor strike. It's rumored that Deadpool 3 will feature a lot of the original Fox X-Men, including Beast. It was originally rumored that the X-Men were from the 838 universe, but that has since been debunked as it seems the X-Men are from this universe instead, allowing Charles Xavier to return. Now that Monica is trapped in that universe, she's bound to return at some point as well. That will likely happen in Deadpool 3, Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars, or the rumored Doctor Strange 3, as the two realities will probably become part of Battleworld, bringing the X-Men and Monica together with the main MCU reality. There's no post-credit scene in the Marvels, only the mid-credit scene, but there is a little audio teaser at the very end of the credits. It's just some Flurkins meowing and then the sound of them eating something. Nothing to really explain here, it's just a little Flurkin tease since they were a big part of the film. So what did you think of the Marvels? Is it better or worse than Marvel's other recent movies and shows? Are you excited for the X-Men and the future of the MCU? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. For now, that wraps up this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who loves Marvel and the X-Men.